Murder and Such contains true stories about murders, the macabre, true crime, serial killers, and other dark subject matter. This includes adult themes, explicit language, descriptions of gore, violence, and other information provided by news articles, witness testimony, and public record. Murder and Such is not intended for all audiences, and although warnings will be set in place, listener discretion is still advised.
Where's the weapons at right now?
What?
Where are the weapons at? Where's the gun?
The axe is in Jake's head and the gun is in Brian's hand. I just want to get these bodies out of my house.
Okay, yep, we're on the way.
Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Murder and Such. I hope that you had yourself a happy holidays or Merry Christmas or whichever holiday you support. I'm just trying to be inclusive here. But hey, how about a little bit of housekeeping? Yeah, we're going to do that. So I've gotten several new patrons since the last episode, which is incredibly humbling to say the least. So in no particular order, thank you to Brittany Graves for joining the Patreon page and helping fund the back end of the show. Also, thank you to DeLorean Butts for also helping me out and donating to the show. A massive thank you to Heather Crow for pulling the trigger and help donate to the show. A thank you to Susan Chiang for donating to the show as well. And thank you to my new executive producer and friend, Caitlin Profit, for joining the Patreon. She's probably the biggest fan of Real Big Fish out there. And we all know how Real Big Fish doesn't have too many fans these days. So thank you to all of my new patrons. It truly helps more than you can ever imagine. And if you'd like to join the Patreon page, get the show sometimes early and ad-free, plus get a permanent 30% off discount for any of the merch in my store. You can find that at patreon.com/murderandsuch, and you can donate just $1 an episode. But since this will be the last episode of the year, I also want to thank each and every single one of you who have stopped by to say hi, have sent messages telling me that you enjoy the show, and thank you for all of the amazing 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. That's helped this stupid little show climb the charts in several ways, and I can't thank you enough for that. 2020 has been a particularly shitty year for the vast majority of us, but hopefully in 2021, it will be a lot more kind to everyone. And I think that 2021 is going to be something much different, but I still want to thank all of you who have helped build this show into something just truly magnificent. I know that there were times that I didn't post an episode or swore that I was gonna put out a new episode, but didn't. But it's just odd of how you didn't rake me over the coals for that and completely understood the reasoning of why I did or didn't post an episode. But trust me, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't sit here and wonder if I should be working on the show instead of maybe taking a small depression nap. Or, spending time with my sweet little fucking baby boy, Vincent. My cat. But that's all been stress that I've put on myself, and none of that because any of you caused it to me. So thank you for your patience, thank you for your kindness, and thank you for being a friend to me. And also, as I say at the end of each and every episode, that you need to wash your hands and wear your mask. I heard absolutely no backlash about that, and that means a lot to me. I've been lucky in the last year not to catch the COVID-19 virus, but I know some who have, and then they've recovered, and I know some that have, and they passed away. It's not an easy year, but I do think that with the vaccine being created, the work and effort that scientists did across the world to make something safe for us will truly be our saving grace. So with this episode, I'm sending off 2020 as a will and testimony that we as a society can overcome anything, and we are all capable of empathy and selflessness. But 2021, please don't be so much of an asshole. Please and thank you. But alright, enough of my soapbox bullshit. Let's start talking about this episode. There's a line from the movie Super Troopers that I say probably more often than I should. Jealousy is a stinky cologne. And it's completely true in every form. Jealousy is, I wouldn't call it attractive, nor maybe honorable. But you can also be jealous of almost anything. When someone makes more money than you, has a better car than you do, a bigger house, or a more attractive partner, we all know that feeling and what it is. It doesn't always stop at material possessions or people either. But how do you deal with that jealousy? That's much more of a sign of your character. Some people get angry, frustrated, and lash out at those who they may be jealous of. They can do it privately, let it sit inside them and fester to no end, or maybe do it on a public forum and show their ass by spouting off their insecurities on Twitter, only later to delete those tweets as if they never existed. Some may actually take a step back and look at what they're doing and try to humble themselves by appreciating what they do have in front of them and not what they covet. That's what I try to do the most when it comes to the several things that I look at in my life. But to say that jealousy isn't common would be a lie, because we all know that it is. We all get jealous of someone or something in our lives every now and again. Someone has something or someone that you don't. But what someone does with their jealousy is something that can have a multitude of outcomes. If it's something like a material possession, you can work towards it, pick up an extra job, and finally snag that PlayStation 5. Or if it's a body figure, you can work out, eat healthy, and try your best to achieve a personal physical goal. But when it comes to people, that can be a much different topic altogether. In this episode, I'm going to be covering two separate cases that surrounded two former lovers and their inability to rationalize being broken up with, moved on from, and the monstrous steps that they took to take back what was not theirs. But as always, my name is Hunter, and you're listening to Murder and Such, and this is episode 77, Deadly Jealousy. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I was an Iowa native for most of my life before moving to Dayton in 2013. About 45 minutes south of my hometown of Charles City, located within Blackhawk County, is the town of Waterloo. Waterloo is one of the larger towns in Iowa and has been home to some very notable people, including Adam Devine from the show Workaholics, and also the Sullivan Brothers, whom all five of them were stationed on the USS Juneau and all killed in action when the boat sank on November 13th of 1942. Now, the neighboring city of Cedar Falls also happens to be the homestead of the University of Northern Iowa, or UNI for short. Hell, when I was 16, the first day that I got my car, I took a trip to Waterloo with some friends with my brand new car just to go skateboarding. Although, my dad told me not to leave town. Sorry, Dad. But Waterloo is a great town. Lots to do. You can check out live music, go shopping at one of the 2 malls between Waterloo and Cedar Falls, and meet tons of great people. I think the term Iowa nice has been thrown around quite a bit in the past couple of years. And there's a lot of amazing people in that state. In Ohio, we're mainly known for, politicians, serial killers, and, well, the home of the guy who got his face smashed with a twisted T. In the town of Waterloo is a place called Covenant Medical Center, and it's one of the best hospitals in the entire state. There worked a man born on January 27th of 1967 in Little Rock, Arkansas, named Timothy Roses. Growing up, Tim aspired to be a doctor. In 1989, Tim graduated from Baylor College in Waco, Texas, then later going on to graduate from the University of Arkansas for Medical Science, or UAMS, in 1993. He later went on to attend University of Missouri and graduated from there with his radiology residency in 1996. He did it. He had finally become a doctor. Not just your typical run-of-the-mill doc, but one that specializes in radiation therapy to help fight cancer. And he was married in 1991 and gave birth, eventually, to 4 children. He had everything you could ever want. An amazing paying job, a wife, and kids. He would play golf when he wanted to, take trips to the Caribbean, have a very comfortable lifestyle, and a lot of women would look at Tim and see a respectable man who has his life and his shit in order. The company that he worked for was also contracting out radiologists, in which Tim found himself being moved out of his office in Plano, Texas, and then working at the Covenant Medical Center in Waterloo. From there, he could continue his practice, continue helping people, and make a decent life for him and his family. Now, Covenant is a pretty large campus with a ton of staff, doctors, and aspiring medical professionals. But one person stood out to Tim. A beautiful young blonde, only 22 years old, literally half his age, named Lindsay Marie Nichols. She was born on October 7th of 1989. With a woman as beautiful as Lindsay was, there's one thing you need to watch out for. Her father, Tom, is former Air Force, and he had enlisted with the Black Hawk County Sheriff's Department in 1987, becoming a deputy in 1990, and then a sergeant in 2012. So you can just about imagine how intimidating that guy must be. But she was an incredible woman. She graduated with honors from Waterloo East High, where she was a cheerleader, played on the volleyball and softball teams, but also had the same dream that Tim did of wanting to help people. She lived in the small town of Evansdale, which was outside of Waterloo, but she would commute to Waterloo for her studies in radiology. And in the meantime, she was working at a local Menards. And if you're not familiar with them, it's a home improvement store similar to Lowe's or Home Depot, but it's mainly in the upper Midwest part of the country. But with her looks, humor, and intelligence, Lindsay had a lot of friends. Blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, even had a mutual friend with yours truly. Now with Facebook, you can publish as much public or private info that you want. It's really up to Mark Zuckerberg who he sells that information to, but I digress. There was a lot of postings on her Facebook about working out. It was a passion for her. Plus, she was 22. Her life had honestly just begun, really. She had a post on January 5th of 2012 that said, quote, "I wish I had my toes in the water, ass in the sand, not a worry in the world, and a cold, sugar-free Red Bull vodka in my hand." And considering it's wintertime, I feel that in my soul right now, and Iowa winters are a hell of a lot more brutal than Ohio winters. But as I said, she was young, bright, intelligent, beautiful, and that's something that Tim also took notice of. To be fair, anyone who came into contact with Lindsay would definitely notice. Can't blame him for that. And in June of 2011 is when Tim's wife gave birth to their fourth child. But as I stated, he was later sent on to Iowa from work. From there, time went on, and Tim started taking a closer look at Lindsay. And personally, I think it was kind of shitty of him, since he was now a husband to one and father of 4, but when the cat is away, the mice will play. Or whatever that stupid old-timey saying is. Still, he's a douche. After talking quite a bit, Tim and Lindsay really hit it off, to the point where they actually started a relationship. He's got a great job, I can imagine a great car, and now a girlfriend who is quite literally half his age. But it was 2 consenting adults, even at the detriment of his wife at home, who had no idea of his ongoing affair. But as I've said on the show numerous times, I'm no professional when it comes to relationships, so you do you, prick. For Lindsay, she was enjoying her time, being wined and dined by this credible doctor, getting all the attention that she wanted, all with the promise that eventually Tim was going to divorce his wife and live out the rest of his years with her. Plus, with her working in radiology, who better to be her mentor than an accredited doctor who is a professional in the field? Seems like a pretty good gig if you ask me. Which, in case there's any doctors out there who want to scoop up a 33-year-old podcaster with a dad bod, shoot me a message to murderandsuch@gmail.com. Thank you. But as time goes on, things start to wither quite a bit. Lindsay finds herself working out a lot more, not just for fitness, but you can see in her timeline there's a series of times that she's hitting the gym to burn off aggression, which, don't get me wrong, it's a very healthy outlet for something like that. One post that she had on January 8th of 2012 was kind of a vague post that said, "Isn't Facebook supposed to be a site to reconnect with lost friends and family? To meet people and share good things about yourself so people want to meet you? Or am I crazy? People need to grow up and leave their drama and problems to themselves because, honestly, I don't care. And neither does anyone besides maybe Dr. Phil." End quote. To what or who that was directed at, I don't have any clue. But there was a post of a bunch of people who had gotten together at the Screaming Eagle Bar and Grill. In attendance were 12 people, including Tim, her father Tom, and her mom Jan. Getting together, having some drinks, sharing stories, you can just about imagine. But as time went on, Tim wasn't fully committed to the relationship with Lindsay. They started arguing quite a bit, usually trying to figure out whether or not Tim was lying to Lindsay, but the relationship started fraying at the seams, and the pieces were finally starting to fall out of place. Lindsay was still young, able to continue her studies at Covenant, and just trying to move on with her life, just wanted distance from the drama, the lies, and Tim altogether. She's got the right to see or date who she wants, but also the right to stop seeing and stop dating who she wants. Maybe it was the fact that Tim had a newborn child sitting back home in Texas with 3 other kids, and she just didn't want to get further invested. But Lindsay posted on January 28th of 2012 a quote from Shakira. Quote, "I prefer an ugly truth to a pretty lie. If someone is telling me the truth, that is when I will give my heart." End quote. And the next day, she posts a Spotify link to a song by Shakira and Beyonce named Beautiful Liar. Definitely setting a tone through quotes and music of what she might be currently going through. But then, she had finally decided to break up with Tim, and move on with her life. But of course, you know that's not where this story is going to end. February 3rd, 2012. Quote, "Dear Facebook friends, I know that some of you know that Tim Rose's and my relationship has come to an end. Some of you don't and have no idea who he is. He has gone a little obsessive-compulsive and started to add friends of mine through his Facebook even though he doesn't know them. I feel it's an invasion of my privacy and needs to stop. I don't wish for any of you to be drug into this, but it seems as if that's what he's wanting." End quote. Her brother Joe, being family and a protector, had even said, quote, "Funny, I've been adding all of his friends to keep tabs on him." End quote. And on the same day, she posts, quote, "I really don't think that I should ever feel unsafe because I feel as if I'm being watched." End quote. And her mom had chimed in and said, "You will be safe, don't worry. Your dad will only take so much. He is going to let you handle your own affairs, but when it comes to your safety, you bet he will do whatever to protect you." But then, things go on. She posts more statuses, including a post that said, quote, "With my new diet, I'm going to reach my original weight of 6 pounds, 7 ounces. On Valentine's Day, she spent it alone, by choice, and posted, "Happy Valentine's Day, I will be spending it at the gym after work. And a cupcake. Maybe." The same day posting, "Roses are blue, violets are unicorns, this doesn't make sense, refrigerator." End quote. She posts about going to the bar, shooting pool, wanting a big-ass steak, and even hitting up Menards. It seems like everything was going pretty well for the most part, aside from the shitty breakup at the beginning, but that's the thing about social media. You only post what you want people to see. Because behind the scenes, things were not okay. Tim was growing more obsessive. Day and night, he would send her text messages, blow up her phone, and as you heard earlier, would start stalking her on social media. He was not letting up. He didn't know how to take a breakup. Maybe he was worried that his wife was going to find out about his affair. Maybe she should find out, and he should go back to Texas with his tail between his legs and own up to being a complete piece of shit. But no, that would be too easy, wouldn't it? Remember how I said that it seemed like someone was following her? Well, since Tim had loads of cash, he was avidly getting rental cars and posting outside of where Lindsay was working out. If she was at the bar, he would be waiting. He'd stalk her Facebook page, looking at where she could be or who she could be with. Definitely a stalker. But she didn't let that stop her from living her life, trying to move on past this pathetic man and keep pursuing her other goals that she had. She was 22, her life was just beginning, and she had the entire world at her fingertips. Until her final post to Facebook on March 21st of 2012 at 3:00 a.m. Lindsay Nichols is in a relationship with Chase Weber.
Hi, my girlfriend just pulled up, and there's a guy that pulled up in truck behind her. We think he has a gun.
What's the address?
914 Stevens Street, Jessup, Iowa. I mean, they're arguing by a truck. We've seen a gun.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Okay.
Okay, what's your name?
Chase Weber.
Trace Weber?
Chase. C-H-A-S-E.
And it was your girlfriend that just got home?
Yes.
What's her name?
I mean, she just came to come over.
What's her name?
Lindsay Nichols.
And do you know who the person is in the truck?
I'm assuming it's her ex, but I don't know his name or who he is.
What kind of truck is it?
It looks like a Chevy, maybe Silverado. Not sure.
Do you know what color it is?
Silver. Hurry, please.
Pardon me?
Hurry, please. They're arguing very loudly. He has a gun.
The police are on the way. I'm talking to you as they are en route, okay? So you don't need to be yelling at me. Just answer my
I'm
question.
sorry. I'm just looking out the window.
What color is the truck?
It's silver, gray, I believe.
And if it leaves before the officer gets there, let me know. So is Lindsay still outside?
Oh, I get shot! Oh, my God! I'm sorry. What should I do? Should I yell at him?
What happened?
Should I yell at him? He just shot her! He just shot her! Should I yell at the window? Oh, my God. He's down. I think he shot himself. I think he shot himself.
Also?
Yes, she is on the ground. Lindsay, I'm right here! Please, Barry.
Don't hang the phone up. I have to answer another line. Don't hang the phone up.
I won't. Yeah?
Do you see the officer out there yet?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on.
I can't see where she's been shot. Lindsay, where have you been hit? Yeah, it's the girlfriend. It's shot. They're both hit. Yeah. I think it's X. You still there?
I'm paging the ambulance right now. Just hold on.
Can you check her? He shot himself. He shot her and then shot himself. I believe he's down. She's been hit. I don't know where. I don't know. I haven't got close enough. I didn't know what you want me to do. 403-4. Please check her. I don't.
What?
I know.
Talking to the officer?
Yeah.
Can I talk to him for a minute?
He's assessing the scene. I need him to check her. I don't. Ma'am.
All right. The officer's there, and I have an ambulance page, so I'm going to let you go, okay?
Okay.
After reading that she was in a relationship with Chase, Tim had went to a rental company, rented a Chevy Silverado with out-of-state plates. Then roughly at 9 o'clock p.m. that night is when he made the decision that shook the town of Jessup, Iowa to its core. He followed Lindsay to Chase's house with a 9mm semi-automatic pistol and proceeded to have a screaming match with Lindsay before pointing the gun at her chest and pulling the trigger. Tim then took the handgun and shot himself in the head, killing him instantly. Lindsay was rushed to the Covenant Medical Center, where she later died from her injuries. The town of Jessup was shaken so incredibly hard with the passing of Lindsay. The following night, 300 people showed up to a candlelight vigil that was held in honor of Lindsay's passing. She left behind many family members, including a brother and both parents, those who still deal with the heartache to this day, and the countless friends that she made over the incredible 22 years that she had lived, not taking a single day for granted, and living out every day like tomorrow wasn't assured. In Evansdale, the town that she lived in, there's a place off of Myers Lake called Angels Park Memorial Island of Evansdale that was erected after the disappearance and subsequent murders of Lyric Cook and Elizabeth Collins, which is still mostly unsolved. There are also memorials that have been added there over time, including one made for Lindsay Marie Nichols, and one for the victim of the first case that I ever covered on this show, Evelyn Celeste Miller. But nothing can bring back what Tim Roses took from that town, her friends, or her family. And despite what his obituary says, Tim will forever be remembered as a jealous ex-boyfriend who was smart when it came to medicine, but an abhorrent monster in every way possible. This man couldn't handle the fact that somebody didn't want to be with him anymore, just as easy it was for him to not want to be with his wife anymore. Lindsay had everything in front of her. A promising future, a promising career, not only that, but friends and family as far as the eye could see. But when Tim was told that it was over, he became irrational, erratic, had become a stalker, had stalked down his former girlfriend and hunted her down like an animal. Lindsay Marie Nichols will be remembered for not only who she had become in her short life, but what she could have become later on in life. I'm glad that I will never say the same for Tim Roses. But I do want to touch back on something. With Lindsay's feelings of not being safe and as if she was being watched, this happens way too often in America, and really the world. It's not exclusive to a geographical location. And I don't know about you, but I sometimes really trust my gut feelings more often than not. Specifically with Lindsay feeling as if she was being stalked. According to the United States Bureau of Justice Statistics, during a 12-month period, it said that an estimated 14 in every 1,000 persons under the age of 18 were victims of stalking, and about half of those victims experiencing at least one unwanted contact per week, and 11% being victims of stalking over a 5-year period. However, it's not just exclusive to the female population. Yes, women are far more likely to being stalked than men, but it's said that it's equal to both men and women who are being stalked to also being harassed, whether verbally, electronically, at their work, or at their home. When it comes to electronic stalking, about 1 in 4 people experience cyber stalking, whether it's through email or instant messenger, sometimes using throwaway accounts, trying to connect with the victim through a friend posing as someone else. As far as the effects of victims who are being stalked, 3 in 4 of them know who their stalker was, and 46% of the victims stated that they feared what would happen next because they had no idea what was going to take place. That also can lead to depression, anxiety, missing time from work, inability to rationalize, or what someone would see as an irrational fear, but to the victim, it's most definitely a real fear from a traumatic experience. However, in the United States, every state has stalking laws, and laws defined by the federal government as well. Yet, the laws vary on a state-to-state basis. In Iowa, Lindsay feared for her safety, which is an incredibly valid concern, but I can't say for sure if that would necessarily put her in the category to get a restraining order against Tim Roses. Some state laws require prosecutors to establish a fear of death or serious bodily harm, whereas other states only require that a prosecutor establish that the victim has suffered emotional distress. When it comes to the categories of whether or not you're being stalked, the Supplemental Victim Safety, or SVS, study measured stalking behaviors as making unwanted phone calls, sending unsolicited or unwanted letters, texts, or emails, following or spying on the victim, showing up at places without a legitimate reason, waiting for a person at their place of work, leaving unwanted items, presents, or flowers, or posting information spreading rumors about the victim on the internet, in a public place, or by word of mouth. So if you or someone you might know may be a victim of stalking, I implore you to sit down with them and consult your local police department to see what your options are. If you're afraid to, you can also check out the National Center for Victims of Crime, which is located at victimsofcrime.org, and also at the phone number 202-467-8700. And they have a stalking resource center with a lot of information and tools that can help you get the help that you need and the safety that you need. If it's someone who has been a former partner, you can always look at the National Domestic Abuse Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or 1-800-799-HOPE and thehotline.org, and talk to a professional who is ready and willing to help you with your situation. It's terrifying these days with so much of our personal information out there, ready to be grabbed by any willing person who's out there looking for it. It's also easy to find, locate, and even stalk somebody. So again, the website is victimsofcrime.org, and the phone number is 202-467-8700, and the domestic abuse hotline at thehotline.org or 1-800-799-HOPE. Please use this information if you need it, or someone else that you may know who also needs it. And as always, thank you for listening to my long-winded info about these sorts of things. It's no secret that the larger demographic of true crime listeners are women or female identifying, but the resources are always available for men and male identifying listeners too. Everyone should be able to feel safe in their own home, their own skin, and their own life. It's a right that we all deserve. Don't let somebody take your hope, your dreams, or possibly your life away from you. I'm going to take a small break and I'll be right back. Sit tight. Hey guys, it's Hunter from Murder and Such. This episode was made possible by my friends over at Extreme Skins. Do you ever get tired of the way that your phone or laptop looks and you want something just a bit different to make it stand out from the rest of the crowd? Well, listeners of this show have a special offer. I'm one of the lucky people who got themselves a PlayStation 5, and to be honest, I didn't much care for the bright white on the jet black look, which is why I'm absolutely stoked that Extreme Skins decided to sponsor this episode. Extreme Skins has been featured on The Guardian, Windows Central, and 9to5 Google for their high-quality vinyl designs and easy-to-apply process. Plus, if you want to take the skins off your device, the adhesive leaves no residue on the surface. For phones, they cover everything from phones like the Apple iPhone, the Samsung Galaxy series, OnePlus phones, Google phones, to laptops like MacBooks, Asus, Dell, and Microsoft. They also do iPad skins, console skins, AirPods, and they even have their own line of sleek minimalist phone cases called the X30. Not only that, but they sent me a skin for my PlayStation 5 which has an aged oak on both sides with brushed titanium down the middle, which to me looks a hell of a lot better than the original color scheme. But you can see pictures of that on the Instagram and Facebook pages. And they also have a full list of install videos to help with any issues at all, and customer service is quick and painless. But listeners of this show can get 15% off their order by going to Extreme Skins, that's XTREME, skins.co.uk, and use code MURDER15 at checkout to save 15% off their entire order. That's xtremeskinsco.co.uk and use code MURDER15, no spaces, to save 15% off your order. But thank you again to Extreme Skins for working with me and helping make my devices look absolutely amazing. Now back to the show. And welcome back to Murder and Such. This one is very, very gruesome, to say the least. So take a deep breath while I tell you about it. This one takes us to the town of Livonia, Michigan. The year is 2012 and involves a man with an obsession to a particular horror movie. A flick that debuted in 2000, directed by Mary Herron, depicting a man by the name of Patrick Bateman that has everything you could imagine. An amazing job, money, power, but also a strange set of, I don't want to call it skill. You know what? I'll just let him say it.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
In the movie American Psycho, Patrick is played by none other than Christian Bale. You know, before Batman. But he admits that he's killed between 20 and 40 people. However, there is a ton of speculation that he actually suffered from a multiple personality disorder and didn't actually kill anyone and fabricated it in his own mind, which had grown a very mundane and boring place, and he wanted something different or more exciting. However, depicted in the movie, there are scenes of incredible violence, including one where he's talking with Jared Leto's character, Paul Allen, while discussing Huey Lewis and the news, dancing around his apartment. Then Patrick proceeds to swiftly embed a polished chrome axe into Paul's head, then continue to hack away at Paul until he takes off his blood-peppered raincoat, lights up a cigar, and admires the work that he just completed. I will admit that I've watched this movie numerous times, and I saw it as a horror movie. You know, something that's based on fiction, because the movie is actually based on a book, but still a work of fiction nonetheless. Most people can differentiate real from fake, fact from fiction, and a movie from, well, an inspiration. The person in question is a 19-year-old man by the name of Brian Douglas White. He had recently been broken up with by his gorgeous young ex-girlfriend, who I will note was also an aspiring model, 17-year-old Desiree Staperfini. She was currently enrolled at Stevenson High School in Michigan. It was a young love, and even a young love can sour. Desiree had moved on, but that wasn't satiating Brian's reason of why he couldn't have Desiree back. So, he started stalking her. Whether it was on Facebook, through text message, Brian wanted answers as to why Desiree had dropped him. Well, to be fair, he was incredibly controlling, as one person had stated about him. He also dealt with a lot of insecurities about himself, which isn't uncommon among someone as young as he was. Again, the human brain isn't fully developed until the age of 25. But hell, even at 19, chances are that you aren't going to be with that person for the rest of your life. I can only recall literally two sets of people who were together in my high school who I can still claim are together. That really says something about growing up, finding yourself, and usually the first person you're in a relationship, or maybe the second, third, or fourth, won't even be the last one. Even marriage is a 50-50 chance. Most of us get over it. But for Brian? No. He did nothing but let his insecurities, irrationalities, and hatred build up over the next few weeks. Instead of doing the normal thing of going through a few days, maybe weeks of heartache, possibly going through the stages of grief, Brian did what can only be described as the exact opposite. He sat in his room, sometimes went to his job, and brooded over his rejection. One time he showed up at Desiree's school and started verbally berating her in front of her classmates and faculty, demanding answers as to why she broke up with him. Considering his conduct at the time, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. This guy was becoming more and more unhinged, so much that you could even watch his unfolding on his own Facebook account. The following dates and quotes were taken directly from Brian White's Facebook page. March 20th of 2012.
It's like I have to wind myself up to deal with the day.
March 22nd.
There are no more barriers to cross. All I have in common with the uncontrollable and insane, the vicious and the evil, all the mayhem I have caused and my utter indifference towards it have now surpassed. My pain is constant and sharp. I do not hope for a better world anymore. I want no one to escape, but even after admitting this, there is no catharsis. My punishment continues to elude me, and I gain no deeper knowledge of myself. No new knowledge can be extracted from my telling.
March 23rd.
I like to dissect girls. Did I mention I'm utterly insane?
March 23rd.
Life is just a series of moments. Seize yours.
March 25th.
I hate the word manipulation.
March 27th.
What a polite murder.
April 3rd.
I'm desperate to connect.
Also on April 3rd.
You can get addicted to a certain kind of sadness.
Now I'll note that the quotes from March 22nd until the 27th are all quotes aside from the Seize Yours one. But these quotes are from American Psycho. Brian then changed his Facebook background image to a blood-spattered mattress and a nightstand, a picture of a murder scene. What normally would be seen as someone just posting a vague status or quoting the film would soon find out that all of this was just foreshadowing for what was to come next. This 911 call is extremely disturbing. You have been warned.
April 4, 2012, 12:19:08.
Hawaii 911, what's the address of your emergency?
No, there has been a murder-suicide. There is no survivors. Please send
Okay,
help.
what's going on? What's going on?
My ex-boyfriend broke into my house and killed my current boyfriend and then killed himself.
Okay, did you just find them?
No, he killed my current boyfriend and then he held me hostage and he just shot himself in the head.
Just now?
Yeah.
Okay, stay on the line with me.
And he kind of beat me up, and my parents aren't home. It's just me, and I'm 17.
What's his name?
Brian White and Jake Burns are the victims.
Jake Bird?
Burns.
Burn. Okay. Where's the weapons at right now?
What?
Where are the weapons at? Where's the gun?
The axe is in Jake's head and the gun is in Brian's hand.
Where are you at inside the house?
I'm sitting in our breakfast nook. Brian's in the living room. There's the kitchen between us. He's dead. He's gone.
And so Brian killed Jake.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything, okay? Can you do me a favor? Can you go sit on the porch?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Desiree Staperfenny. I can't walk, so I have to hop.
You can't walk? Okay, just stay there. Are you still tied up?
No.
Okay, do you need an ambulance?
Oh, my God.
What's Desiree?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
I put too much pressure on my leg.
Okay. How long did he hold you guys captive for?
What?
How long did he hold you captive for?
Oh, God, since like 8 o'clock.
Since 8 o'clock this morning?
Yeah.
Did he break into the house?
Yeah, he watched my mom leave.
He watched
and
your mom?
I guess came in when Jake and I were sleeping.
Okay, yep. Okay, are you on the porch right now?
Yeah, sorry, my leg really hurts.
No, that's okay. Do you need an ambulance?
Yep. An ambulance? No. A medic? Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to be on
like
the ambulance.
I don't need to go to the hospital.
Okay.
I just want to get these bodies out of my house.
Okay, yep, we're on the way.
Okay, thank you. Are you going to stay on the line
Okay.
with me?
Nope, her mom left for work. And there's nobody else in there, correct?
Correct. I can call my dad. He works at 6 and Haggerty, so he can be home in about 10 minutes. My mom doesn't have a cell phone, so I don't know how to get a hold of her because she doesn't have a job. She got picked up by a friend this morning.
Okay. All right, but there is nobody, just confirming, there is nobody else in the house?
No.
Okay, and where does Brian live at? Where would he be registered out of?
5 in Newburgh. I don't know his address.
You don't know his address? Do you know he lives on Houghton?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know his
car is here in his mom's name. He wants me to call his mom, but...
Yeah, no, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that.
Yeah, my cell phone's inside. I grabbed the house phone because he had my cell phone when he shot himself, and I didn't even want to look.
Nope, that's fine. Okay, do you know what his middle name and date of birth are?
The cop is passing me right now.
Okay, yeah, he's probably just going to park just down the street, okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, no, not a problem. Just stay on the line with me until he's up there with you, okay?
Okay. I can't walk. He beat me up. I can't walk.
Do you know what Brian's middle name is?
Douglas.
And do you know what his date of birth is?
Tomorrow. He would be turning 20.
He would be 20 tomorrow?
There's no one else in the house. They're all dead.
They can't walk.
Yeah, the officer's coming up to me right now.
Okay, go ahead and talk to the officer, okay Desiree?
You.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Brian White showed up at Desiree's mother's house. He entered the house, and unfortunately to Desiree, when she said that she didn't know where her mom was and she couldn't be contacted because she didn't have a phone, Desiree had not yet seen that Brian had actually killed her mother Angela when entering the house, and her body was still inside. He then went into the room where Desiree and her boyfriend were sleeping, and then he proceeded to beat Desiree. As you heard in the audio, one of her legs was incredibly hurt. She was rushed to a local medical center and treated for her injuries, and that's when they had told her that her mother had been murdered. Brian White did the Patrick Bateman to the Paul Allen that he dreamed about with his obsession with American Psycho. Brian White murdered this man, murdered his ex-girlfriend's mother, then put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. It's hard to imagine what it had been like for Desiree to experience this. And not only that, but have the calm and collectiveness to be able to call 911 and talk about the murder-suicide and say that she didn't need an ambulance, she just needs to go to the hospital. She's in a state of shock, is what it is. She had been beaten by this man, this former boyfriend, this fucking monster that she didn't know was capable of carrying out such a horrific act against her, her family, and her boyfriend. None of this is justified. Brian was a coward. Brian could not deal with rejection. Brian turned his obsession with a horror movie into a real-life horror story. As it always happens, the police went and searched the perpetrator's house. They had found a couple of handguns there, they had found a receipt for a knife that he had purchased online, and they found a handwritten note, but they couldn't say whether or not it was related to his intentions. As far as the axe, it just so happened to be that he didn't bring the axe with him. He actually found the axe inside of the garage at the Staperfini house. The family of Brian White had no earthly idea why or how that their son could ever do this. And honestly, sometimes people keep those things bottled up really, really tight. A look at his Facebook would show all of his quotes from American Psycho, which the axe is the biggest part that gets me. How Desiree went on after this, after her state of shock, after witnessing the death of her boyfriend and then learning of the death of her mother, really speaks to the strength that this young woman has. And just as much strength also goes to Desiree's father, David. This man was at work and came home and found that his wife had been murdered and his daughter had witnessed a murder. These two people, David and Desiree, after watching an interview with WXYZ TV, Detroit Channel 7, they have to be two of the most inspiring people I've ever seen go through so much trauma for such a petty reason at the hands of a psychopath. And to the family of Jacob Burns, that day also will be one that they will never forget, but also never understand why. They lost a son. A lot of people lost a friend. The town of Livonia lost a lot of soul that day. But with Desiree and David, it almost seemed like they had a motivation to move forward. I do have clips from the WXYZ interview from David and from Desiree, and in their own words describing how they're moving on and how they're moving forward, and what Desiree experienced that day. When they asked David how he was feeling at the moment, he had said,
"Sad, empty, but I have a lot of friends and family to help. Not much else to say. And a big hole in my life."
When asking Desiree how she was feeling, she had said this.
Every day I am sad, but every day I'm also happy. It's just, an emotional roller coaster, but I'm along for the ride and I've accepted that.
Then the reporter for WXYZ 7 out of Detroit had asked Desiree about the actual attack.
And he grabbed me from behind and got me on the floor and was trying to knock me unconscious. And he was punching me in the side of the head and all around my left side. I went into complete survival mode. There was no other option. I had to get out of there alive. The last thing he said was, "I love you, Desiree," and he shot himself while sitting on the couch in front of me.
And then they asked Desiree about what it was like when she found out that her mother was also murdered.
That was probably the most surreal moment because, like I said, I witnessed everything with Jake. There was no room for denial with that, but I didn't see my mother at all, thankfully.
Even when discussing the reason of why Brian could have done this, David had said this.
He took my family apart almost over a teenage breakup.
And that's exactly it. It was a teenage breakup. This kid was not okay. There was something definitely wrong with him, whether it was anger, depression, there's always hope out there, and nothing has to get to this sort of insanity, this sort of unjustified action, this sort of revenge. At the age of 19, 44, 60, it doesn't matter. Being broken up with, divorced with, let go. It sounds cliche to say it, there's plenty of other fish in the sea, but that's exactly it. Hearts will mend, wounds will heal, pride will it'll always come back. But the lives of Angela Staperfini and Jacob Lee Burns can never be brought back. So regarding that, I think that David and Desiree have the best course of action when it comes to living your life. And they put it in words that I honestly can't say it better. Here's that.
Be kind. Don't be angry. Time will heal. And just try to treat people as you want to be treated.
Tell the people you love that you love them every day, every single day. Because it could possibly be the last thing you say to them.
Like I said, I couldn't say it better myself. This father and daughter are honestly two of the strongest people that I have ever seen go through such a terrifying moment in their life. For them to be able to put their pants on every day, throw on a shirt, and continue their life is truly admirable. And yeah, therapy is helpful with that. Coming to conclusions of, things can always be worse. It's truly something to be admired with these two. The one thing that kept on coming through my mind is this is like the best father-daughter that love and support each other that I've ever seen. So yeah. As for Desiree, she moved on with her life. She became a mother herself and had a couple of kids and is living out every day because she believes that's what her mom would want her to do. She's living testimony that things can get better, even in the darkest days. And I really think that these two are, I can't stop gushing over how much I admire these two people. So my heart truly goes out to them and to the family of Jacob Burns. These families almost completely torn apart at the hands of this maniacal 19-year-old man who just couldn't accept that somebody did not want to be with them. His obsession with a horror film turned into a real-life horror story. There's not much more I can say. But that's going to do it for this episode. I thank you for sticking with me on this one. It wasn't an easy one. But if you do appreciate the show, I would honestly love it if you would subscribe and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I honestly cannot tell you how much that truly does help me. Like, happy New Year, have a 5-star review. That would be great. And if you think the show is actually worth something, you can feel free to jump on the Patreon at patreon.com/murderandsuch, and you can get the show early and ad-free for just $1 per episode. And you can also get exclusive stickers, you can get a merch discount, and you can see my stupid updates that I do, like my PC that crashed. So that's completely up to you, though. And I want to thank my executive producers at the $5 level, which includes Caitlin Prophet, Chantel Wilson, Casey Jones, Jason with the Growlers and Gremlins podcast, Michelle Davis, Nikki with Strictly Homicide Podcast, Angel Renee, Bama Brew Review Podcast, Aaron Albertson, Michelle Pierce, Jack Stoyron, Martha Pierce, Alex Aguirre, Justin Reebsum, Nikki, McKenna Johnson, Ariel Safir, Tracy Ford, Stacy Jenks, Dan Sheridan, Benjamin Welch, Ashley Collier, Charkley Daniels, Erica Summers, Ashley Black, and Tech Support, Danielle Longamore, Heather Wright, Big Daddy Thick Dick, Sarah Thompson, and Dakota Curtis. Thank you all so much. If you just want to tell a friend about the show, that works just as well. But if you'd like to follow the show, you can find it on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Murder and Such. And if you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, the PlayStation Network, and Snapchat at Huntor27. I've been playing a lot of PS5 lately because, PCs crash and sometimes I just gotta have a little bit of escapism to help with that seasonal depression. Yeah. But please, call someone you love today. Tell them that you're thinking about them. It doesn't even have to be holiday related. Just tell them that you love them. Sometimes that can make a world of difference. But as always, my name is Hunter, and you've been listening to Murder and Such. And I'm reminding you to wash your fucking hands, wear your mask, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.